All right, so today we have notes 9.8, which is about two-way tables, and this is probably my favorite statistics stuff like ever. So two-way tables is a different way to look at two pieces of data that are related to one another. So for example, the first table below is about boys and girls, and whether they prefer to play soccer or to dance. So we're going to learn two new vocabulary words. The first one is called marginal frequencies, which are the margins, right? That's why it's called marginal, or the outer edge that represents the total for each row or column. So remember, rows go side to side, columns go up and down, just in case you forgot. Joint frequencies, these are intersections or the inner boxes of information that represents where two pieces of data or information cross paths. So you might want some colored pencils, if you got some, or maybe highlighters or crayons, whatever you got. And we're going to go through and we're going to color in the green. I'm going to highlight so we can still read it. We're going to color green for joint frequencies, and then we're going to color blue for marginal frequencies. So the joint frequencies, which will be in green, is going to be the middle boxes here. The blue for marginal frequencies are all the ones that make totals here, right? So notice that you got total and total. That's what a marginal frequency is. It's talking about the totals for each row or each column. So for each column, we have to add to get the totals on the bottom. So this is for columns. So these are totals on the bottom. And then for each row, we are also going to add to get the totals. So this is a bottom too, my bad. To get the totals. Oops, let's do that in blue. Okay, because look at this. 14 plus 40 makes 54. 46 and 6 makes 52. 60 and 46 makes 106. 14 and 46 make 60. 40 and 6 make 46. 54 and 52 make 106. Okay, so you just add. All right, so let's just read this, see if we can understand this. I'm going to go through a lot of colors here. So how many girls play soccer? So what we're going to do is we're going to look for the row about girls and the row about soccer. Where do they cross paths? And they cross paths at 14, so the answer is going to be 14. Okay, next one, how many boys like to dance? So we have boys, we have dancing. There, let's make it so you can see it. So we have boys and we have dancing. So where do they cross paths at? Right here at 6. All right, next color we're going to use is orange. So how many girls are there? So it's just about girls. So we're just trying to figure out how many girls we got. So if I look at the column for girls, the number of girls we got is this total of 60 right here. Because it only talks about one of the things that we have here, you're looking for a total, okay? Next one we got, how many dancers are there? So we're only talking about dancers. So we're trying to figure out what's the total for dancers. Does it say total? No, it does not. You have to understand that's what it means. So here's dance. We're trying to figure out how many dancers there were. And if I look, the total here says 52. This one's my favorite question. It's the one that trips people up all the time. How many people are there total? Well, whenever you get a question that says how many people there are total, and it doesn't give you any type of information, this is what I call your super total, which is going to be 106. So again, whenever you don't see all the information, and it just says, hey, how many people are there in total? How many people were interviewed? How many people were surveyed? You're looking for your super total, okay? Because it's trying to figure out how many people in general there were. And your super total basically adds up everything in here. Yeah. All right. This one's for if you're in class together. So I'm just going to fill it out, but if you want to fill out with your classmates, that's fine. So we're talking about teachers and students, and we're talking about teachers or students who like TikTok, teachers or students who don't like TikTok. So I'm going to pick some random numbers. All right, so here's just some random numbers I picked. And so what we're going to do is we're going to figure out totals. So let me pull up a calculator for you guys here. All right, so first we're going to figure out how many teachers there are. So what we're going to do is we are going to add 12 and 147. So 12 plus 147 gives us 159. So 159. Then we're going to figure out the total of students. So we got to do 336 plus 2. So 336 plus 2 is 338. All right, we can't figure out the super total yet. I'm going to write that super total. So now we're going to figure out how many love TikTok. Actually, and now we're going to, let's just do this. All right, now we can figure out the super total. Right, and so we do that 159 plus 338. So gives us 497. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my rows here. So we got to do 147 plus 2. I'm going to do that one in my head, but you can use a calculator if you need to. So we got 149. Then we're going to do this last row here. So we got 12 plus 336, and that should give us 348. Now what I'm going to do is double check that these two totals equals 147. So I got 348 plus 149, and that works. You need to make sure that these two numbers total 147 and these two numbers add up to 147. Now what we're going to do is we're going to answer some questions. How many teachers are resisting the social media trend? All right, and no love the TikTok. So teachers who no love the TikTok. All right, so we're looking for teachers who no love the TikTok. That's going to be this 147 right here. How many students drive Miss R and Miss Bailey crazy with their love for TikTok? So this one we're talking about students who love TikTok. I added silly questions. So we got students who love TikTok. That's going to be the 336. How many teachers did we have in our table? All right, so this one is talking about straight up, only talking about teachers. Doesn't say anything else. So we're looking for the teacher total. Teacher total is the bottom here. It's that 159, right? Because it only is talking about teachers. It's not talking about TikTok at all. How many people have crazy love for TikTok? I'm trying to pick colors I haven't used. Love for TikTok. So we're figuring out the total for the love for TikTok. The total for the love for TikTok is this row here, 348. Right? You have to look across. You got to look across. You got to look across for that love for TikTok. All right. This is my favorite question that we have so far. How many sane people have no love for TikTok? So I'm looking for the total for no love for TikTok, which is 149. Next one, again, this is going to be hard. How many people do we have in total for this table? It does not say students, teachers, or anything about TikTok. So that means we're looking at our super total, which is 497. Okay? All right, now we're going to color in our joint frequencies. I'm just going to keep the colors. So I'm going to use green for my joint frequencies, which is the inner boxes. And then I'm going to use blue for my marginal frequencies, which are the outer boxes. Okay, lovely. All right, so now we're going to fill out a two-way table. So let's read everything we got so we can figure out what the pieces of information we got to fill out here and here. So 45 students who like to eat chips for breakfast. 12 students like to eat Takis and the rest like to eat Flaming Hots. 4 girls like Takis and then 20 boys like Flaming Hots. So we know that we are talking about Takis and Flaming Hots. So I'm going to put these in here. And then we know we're talking about girls and boys. So those are the 4 different categories. All right, so next up. We know there are 45 students total. Does that talk about Takis, Flaming Hots, girls, or boys? No, it does not. So that means it's going to be our super total. Next up, we have 12 students like to eat Takis. So that is just talking about Takis. It doesn't say girl or boy, so that's going to be a total. So we got 12. All right, next up, we have us 4 girls like to eat Takis. So we're looking for where girls and Takis cross path, and that's right there, top left corner. Last one we got 20 boys like Flaming Hots. So we're looking for boys and Flaming Hots cross paths, which is the bottom right corner of our joint frequencies. Now what we're going to do is some math, because of course this is math class. I'm going to bust out my calculator. I'm going to move it to the side here. We can figure out this information because we know 12 plus some number equals 45. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 45 and subtract 12. And it says I get 33. So let's check if that is right. So we got 33. So let's check. Is 12 plus 33 needs to equal 45? It does. So we're good. All right, now we can figure out this row here because we know the total is 12. So we're trying to figure out 4 plus what number would give us 12? Well, I can do 12 minus 4 to get 8, or if you know off the top of your head it's 8, that's even better. Next, we're going to try and figure out, we can figure out this total here because we can do 8 plus 20, which would equal our total of 28. Then we could figure out Flaming Hots and girls. We can figure out this one right here by doing, so we're trying to figure out what number plus 20 would give us 33. Well, I can do that one in my head, but you can do 33 minus 20. It says 13, so let's check. Let's check that 13 plus 20 would equal 33. It does, so that is a good answer. And then 4 plus 13 to get this last total is 17. And let's just check all our totals work out. So we already know this one works out. Let's check that 17 plus 28 gives us 45 because we don't want to have any silly sign mistakes or silly answer mistakes. That works out. Very good. All right, so we're done. We filled out this table. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so we got in the next one, 35 freshmen and 41 sophomores took the survey on homework. 50 students said they spend less than an hour on homework each night. 5 sophomores spend 1 hour or less on homework. Okay, so information we're talking about. We're talking about freshmen and sophomores. Spend less than an hour on homework. So less than 1 hour, which means this other one has to be more than 1 hour. All right, Miss Rawolf made a boo-boo on her notes because why wouldn't she? This didn't say 1 hour or less. It should say 1 hour or more. Very good. So we know 35 freshmen and 41 sophomores took the survey. So we know the totals because it doesn't say about how much time they spent on the homework. So 35 for freshmen and 41 for sophomores. Then in purple here, it says 50 students spend less than an hour on homework. Doesn't specify freshmen or sophomores, so that 50 is going to be for the total for less than an hour. Then we have 5 sophomores spend 1 hour or more on homework because Ms. Rawolf made a typo. And so I'm looking for where sophomores and more than 1 hour cross paths. So that's going to be that bottom corner there. All right, so now I can go through and I can figure out all of my information. So this row has two pieces of information. So that I can use that to figure out my super total because I can do 35 plus 41, which gives me 76. Okay. I don't have any other rows that have 2 pieces of information in it. So I can't do anything with my rows yet. I can do a couple of my columns. So I can do my total column, right? So I'm trying to figure out what 50 plus what number would equal to 76. So I would take 76, that bigger number, minus that 50 of the smaller number, and that says 26. So I figured out my total column for more than an hour. Double check, so 50 plus 26 works out. This column has 2 pieces of information, so I can figure out my missing piece. What I'm trying to do is figure out what number plus 5 would give me 41. So what I'm going to do is take 41, the bigger number, minus 5, that smaller number, which gives us 36. And I can double check that. I can say 36 plus 5 does equal 41. Now, I'm trying to figure out my freshman column here, but I can't because I don't have 2 pieces of information. So what I'm going to do is look at the rows. So I'm going to start with this row. This row has 2 pieces of information, so that can help me to figure out my missing piece here. So I have to figure out what number plus 36 would equal 50. What do? I'm going to take the bigger number, 50, minus that smaller number, 36, and that says 14. And I can double check that by saying, is 14 plus 36 equal to 50? And it will. Next one I got here, you can either use the column or the row. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do the row. So I'm trying to figure out what number plus 5 would equal 26. And the reason why I'm doing the row is because I can do that one off the top of my head pretty good. But if you can't do it off the top of your head, you would take, so let me erase it. You would take the bigger number, 26, minus the smaller number in that row, 5, and that gives you 21. Okay? And you only subtract when you have your totals written out versus how we did earlier. We had all of the all the joint frequencies, so we just had to add to get to our totals. We had to add to get to our totals. We had to add, you know what I mean? So let's look at this one. 355 teachers at the school like coffee or tea. 212 teachers like both. 70 teachers like coffee but not tea. And then 10 teachers like tea but not coffee. So we're talking about coffee or tea. So this one's a little hard. This one's fun though. So we're talking about if you like coffee or you don't like coffee. So I'm going to put not coffee. And then if you like tea or not tea. Team tea or team coffee. All right, so we have 350 teachers like coffee or tea. So this is actually going to be your super total, 350. All right, because it doesn't say and, it says or. So that's how we know it's a super total, because it didn't specify exactly. Is that a little confusing? Sure is. Would I put that on your quiz or test? Probably not. Do I like to make you think during your notes? Yes, I do. All right, so now we have 212 teachers like both. So we're looking for where they like both coffee and tea. So that's going to be the top left corner of our joint frequency. Next up, we have 70 teachers like coffee but not tea. So we're looking for where they like coffee but not tea. So that's going to be the bottom left of our joint frequency, and they said 70. Last up we got is 10 teachers like tea but not coffee. So we're going to figure this out. So we got two pieces of information. So we know they like tea but not coffee. So that's going to be the top right of our joint frequency, and we're going to put a 10. From here, math. Okay, so I'm going to start with my columns. So I have two pieces of information here. I have both of my joint frequencies here, but not the total for the marginal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what's 212 plus 70, and I can type that into my calculator or do that in my brain, whichever floats your boat, and that gives us 282. All right, I have another place where I have two pieces of information where I could add. So I have both of my joint frequencies, so that means I can figure out my total. So I could do 212 plus 10 would equal, hopefully we can do this in our head, and if not, there's a calculator. But that's 222. And then we have to figure out, so we got to look at some other pieces where we have two sets of data. Well, here I have 282 and 350. I don't have this piece, which should help equal to 350. So what I have to do is take 350, the bigger number, and minus the smaller number 282, which gives me 68. Double check that this would equal, and it should. Next up, we can do this column here. We got to figure out 10 plus what number equals 68, because we're missing a joint frequency. So the joint frequencies add together to give you your marginals. So that should be 58. I did that in my head. And then next up, I'm going to do adding instead of subtracting. So I'm going to use the row here, and I'm going to figure out what's 70 plus 58, because these are two joint frequencies, to help me get me my marginal. So 70 plus 58, which is 128. I'm going to double check that these two numbers add up to give me 350, because I just want to make sure I didn't make any boo-boos here. And that works out. Okay? For the last part of the note, I want you to go with your class here. And if you're doing this at home, then you skip it. But I want you guys to go through the class and figure out who can do taco tongue and who can do the evil eyebrow. And I want you to fill out your own table. So first figure out who can do both. Then figure out who can do taco tongue but not the evil eyebrow. Then figure out who can do the evil eyebrow but not the taco tongue. And then figure out who can't do either of these, okay? It's fun. All right, that's the end of your notes today. Sorry it was a little long, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.